It is week number 6 of the 2022 college football season, and what a college football Saturday we are in for this week. We may not have 5 ranked matchups like we did last week, but we still have a lot of notable games this week. We have the Red River Showdown to start the day, which is always a good one. 5-0 Kansas, who have turned into America's team, hosts TCU. The Jayhawks are ranked for the first time since October 18th, 2009, and Texas A&M and Alabama, after the bickering back and forth that went on between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban in the offseason, is going to be taken to the field this Saturday night in prime time to end the day and wrap up another week in the 2022 college football season. Last week was not a good week for me, as I went 3-4 with my picks. My first losing week of the year, and I hope that it is my last losing week of the season. But it is a completely brand new week, 7 more games to predict this week, so let's get right into it. I originally wanted to start off with BYU and Notre Dame, but this morning I decided to switch it up a little bit. First game on the docket this week, Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River Showdown. And what better way to start the Week 6 college football predictions with one of the biggest rivalries in all of college football. And this game never disappoints. 8 out of the last 9 Red River Showdowns have been decided by one score. Despite both of these teams being unranked, I'm positive we are in for a good game. Oklahoma has won the last 4 in a row against Texas. However, for the Longhorns, this is the perfect time to play Oklahoma, as the last 2 games for the Sooners have been absolutely atrocious, especially on the defensive side, giving up a combined total of 96 points in their last 2 games, which is not a good look for first-year head coach Brent Venables, who for years was probably the best defensive coordinator in all of college football when he was with Clemson. It's possible Quinn Ewers could be back this week for the Longhorns after missing the last several games. But whether the quarterback is Hudson Card or Quinn Ewers, I still think Texas is going to beat Oklahoma for the first time in 5 years, behind big performances by running back Bijan Robinson, who's gone for over 100 rushing yards in the last 3 games, and Xavier Worthy, star receiver, who got off to a bit of a slow start but has produced massively in the last couple of games for the Longhorns. And I do think that this game will be decided by one score once again. This is a rivalry. So no matter what the records are, no matter what the rankings are, you can throw those out the window. This game is going to be one of the best games of the week, even though I think this is the first time these two teams have been unranked when facing each other in a long time. If there's any historian out there that knows when the last time these two teams played when they were unranked, please let me know. I really love to know. But I like Texas to win by 1 score. Even though Oklahoma's defense has been inferior the last couple games, I still think that this defense is going to come out fired up in this game. But I like the Longhorns to win at the end. Next game, a game College Football Nation has been waiting for since the offseason. However, throughout the year, this game has lost all its hype and value. Texas A&M goes on the road to take on number 1 Alabama. Crimson Tide quarterback and reigning Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young left the game early last week against Arkansas with a shoulder injury. However, his injury is not considered to be serious. The coaching staff thought it would be best to keep him out the rest of the game because in the eyes of Nick Saban, he didn't have much steam on the ball. Unless something drastic changes until game time, Bryce Young is going to be the starting quarterback on Saturday night for the Crimson Tide, without a doubt. Even if he wouldn't be able to go, backup quarterback Jalen Milroe had a good relief performance, throwing a touchdown pass and having 91 rushing yards on 6 carries. Meanwhile, for the Aggies, quarterback Max Johnson left the game last week against Mississippi State, which was nothing but the durian on top of an awful game. It's unknown if Johnson is going to play on Saturday night. Jimbo Fisher did come out today and say that he is considered day-to-day. So, will he be the starting quarterback? Will they go back to Haynes King? Or perhaps this is the time we see, for the first time, freshman quarterback Connor Wigman, who was the number one ranked quarterback in the 2022 class. Because with the current redshirt rules, he can play up to 4 games without losing a year of eligibility. Not much you can do when you're a 3-touchdown underdog. I would say that get A-Chain involved early and often, as he has been the biggest weapon for the Aggies all season long, especially now with losing Anaya Smith for the year after the Arkansas game. But Alabama has a dominant run defense and leads the country in scoring defense, only giving up an average of 7.25 points per game. Alabama will win this game without a doubt. The question is by how much. And the answer to that is by at least 4 touchdowns, as there should be no reason Alabama doesn't cover in this game. Game number 3 on the docket, number 16 BYU and Notre Dame in prime time. The Marcus Freeman era in South Bend did not get off to a good start. 0-3 start to his coaching career, but the last 2 games have resulted in wins. Ever since Drew Pine took over as the starting quarterback for the Fighting Irish, he has completed nearly 72% of his passes, thrown for 439 passing yards and 5 touchdown passes, and no interceptions. Meanwhile, BYU quarterback Jaron Hall has been efficient all season long for the Cougars, completing over 70% of his passes. He's thrown for 12 touchdowns and only 1 interception. Now, going into this season, I looked at this game on the schedule, and I thought this could be one of the biggest games of the college football season, depending on how the 5 weeks leading up into it played out. But I still think we're in for a good game here. I think this is a nice battle between 2 quarterbacks that have been very efficient throughout the year. But while I find BYU an underrated team, I just feel like there's just too much talent on this Notre Dame team compared to BYU. Plus, the Fighting Irish are coming off of a bye week. So not only does that make quarterback Drew Pine feel refreshed, but it makes the entire team feel refreshed. Especially after the tough start to the year, losing to Ohio State and Marshall. I like Notre Dame to win this one. It's going to be in prime time at South Bend. The crowd's going to be fired up. There is some momentum now for the Irish this season. Even though their 2 wins are against Cal and North Carolina, still some fairly decent competition. I think Notre Dame wins by a touchdown. I think BYU, despite them being outmatched talent-wise, I think they'll stay in it from start to finish. But Notre Dame's running game will be the difference. They'll take advantage of having the better O-line compared to BYU's D-line. And that'll be the difference in the game. A battle that gets won in the trenches. Game number 4, Arkansas and number 23, Mississippi State. The Razorbacks have now lost 2 consecutive games after making it into the top 10 in the rankings, while Mississippi State is in the top 25 for the first time this season. For Arkansas, you have 2 options coming off of a loss against Alabama. You can either take what you learned and apply it to not only your next game, but also the rest of your season, or allow it to become a season breaker. And more often than not, it ends up being a season breaker. Bulldog quarterback Will Rogers is currently tied with North Carolina quarterback Drake May for the FBS lead in touchdown passes this season with 19. And he's currently 3rd in passing yards, only behind Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. and UTSA quarterback Frank Harris. But if the Razorbacks defense can apply pressure on Will Rogers, they have a good chance to pull off the upset, as they have 21 sacks so far this season, which is 2nd in the FBS, only behind Cincinnati. Raheem Sanders leads the SEC in rushing yards. I think he can be an equalizer in this game, with Mississippi State giving up over 100 rushing yards to Devon Ainchain last week against Texas A&M. In fact, I like Arkansas to pull off the upset because Sam Pittman is the type of coach that can be able to rally a team together after two consecutive bad losses. With the missed field goal that was off the top of the upright against A&M and a loss where they just completely got outmatched by Alabama. I like the Razorbacks to go on the road, pull off the upset. Mississippi State is feeling pretty confident right now after picking up a dominant win against A&M, but with the way A&M has played all season long, it doesn't really feel that impressive. Despite them dominating the game, this is the same A&M team that lost to App State and probably should have lost to Arkansas and could have easily lost to Miami. So I like KJ Jefferson to make plays late in the game in a very hostile environment with the Cowbells harassing an offense all game long. But Arkansas, at the end of the day, will pull off the upset. Game number 5, number 8 Tennessee goes on the road to Baton Rouge to take on number 25 LSU. The Volunteers are coming off of a bye week, while LSU took on and defeated an Auburn team with more problems than a math exam. And who truly knows what's in store for the rest of the year for Auburn? As if you ask me, Auburn has looked completely defeated in these last few games they've had. Now, it's a good thing for Tennessee that LSU is ranked. Because not only would this be a resume builder for Tennessee to build up their resume if they ended the year 11-1 with only one loss. But if LSU was unranked, with them going on the road in an early game with Alabama in their sights next week, I would worry that they would overlook LSU and not take them as seriously. Because we tend to see this a lot. We see teams that are facing a big-time team the next week, and they overlook their opponent for that week, and they struggle. But I think that Tennessee, they may struggle for a little bit because it's typical to struggle early on the road in SEC play. As there is no game in the SEC conference that is easy. And these next couple games, we're going to see if Hendon Hooker is a Heisman candidate. Because if he wins this week, knocks off Alabama the next week, I'd say put Hendon Hooker in the Heisman conversation. But I like the Volunteers to win this week, as they have proven me wrong already twice this season, and I don't want to pick against them the third time. This Tennessee team is for real. They're legitimate. They are contenders at this point. And even if they do lose a couple games down the road, it's good to see them in the top 10. I like the Volunteers to win simply because I just don't know what to think about LSU. I just think LSU is a bit overrated to me. I would not be surprised if LSU made this game closer and pull off the upset, but I just truly can't see it. Jaden Daniels has really looked flustered in the pocket. He just looks like he panics too much. While Hendon Hooker, he's looked calm all season long. We have a big battle in the Pac-12 conference. Number 11 Utah takes on number 18 UCLA, who put everyone on notice, including myself, as they went 5-0 last Friday night after upsetting number 15 Washington. The Utes have bounced back nicely since their week 1 loss to Florida, and we know the story for Utah. They started off the 2021 season really slow, then they made the quarterback change to Cameron Rising, and the Utes have been a much better team ever since. While the start of the brutal schedule ahead for UCLA started off with the big win against Washington last Friday night, as I already covered. Bruins quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I feel like is maybe the most underrated quarterback in college football. I've said this multiple times in the last couple of years. He threw for 315 passing yards and 3 touchdowns last week, and also ran for over 50 yards and a touchdown. Running back Zach Charbonnet, the Michigan transfer, has had the hot hand lately, currently 4th in the Pac-12 in rushing yards, including 124 last week. Despite Utah having the 8th best passing defense in the country, I like UCLA to pull off the upset. It has taken Chip Kelly some time to get the Bruins into Pac-12 contention, but he has them in contention now. And I remember saying last week, if UCLA pull off the upset and beat Washington, the sky is the limit for the Bruins in the second half of the season. And I think they pick up yet another upset win and beat Utah. Wrapping things up with the game of the week, number 17 TCU goes on the road to take on America's team, the 19th ranked KANSAS JAYHAWKS. And I will be honest, I never thought I would have ever predicted a KANSAS Jayhawk football game on this channel. But here we are. The Jayhawks are 5-0. College game day is coming to town. The Horned Frogs are coming off of a dominant win over Oklahoma and is currently averaging 48.5 points per game, which is currently tied with Tennessee for second in the FBS, only behind Ohio State. While the Jayhawks are coming off of an emotional 14-11 win over Iowa State, and one more win for the Jayhawks will make them bowl eligible. Lance Leipold has had his name in discussions at other programs, but that is another topic for another day. There is going to be energy in Lawrence on Saturday. College game day is going to be in town. The crowd is going to be electric. A bowl bid is on the line in this game, and perhaps a life-changing moment for Coach Lance Leipold. But I like the Horned Frogs in this game. Do not get me wrong. Kansas has taken on some solid teams this season. But the final 7 games left on the Jayhawks schedule is absolutely brutal. And I hope they get that 6th win they need to become bowl eligible. But it's hard to see where that one win will come from. But I just like this Horned Frogs offense, with Max Duggan having the best QBR in the entire country. Plus, Kansas should have lost last week and would have if it wasn't for bad special teams by Iowa State. And that will do it for my Week 6 college football predictions. Comment your predictions down below in the comment section. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if there is another game that you would like me to predict that I did not cover here today, leave it in the comment section down below and I will respond to you. Anyways, have a good day. Enjoy the college football this Saturday. We are in for a big week this week. And to preview Week 7, potentially the biggest week of college football yet.